You have nothing to prove, Jayson Tatum. You're one of the best players in the world. We all know it. You don't have to prove it.
If you're watching the game, like the USA was struggling to score, and once Anthony Edwards went in, he kind of changed the energy.
Just go win. Go play winning basketball. It's frustrating to watch.
And I've been anticipating this for a while, as of a lot of people, especially in our country.
Like I'm through a moral crisis and I don't know where to go. I hate Joel Embiid, but I love Team USA.
Welcome back to the the third official episode of the Pick and Roll podcast. Obviously, you know your boy Brian McQuillan, alongside my guy Tanner Mounts. Tanner, how are we doing today, man?
Hey, we're excited. We got our first view of Team USA basketball last night. It was fun to watch. I know you and I were going back and forth, texting during the first half. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, you know, we posted on the Instagram story yesterday. Kawhi Leonard out with the team, not going to play in the Summer Olympics this year, replaced by Derek White. So, I mean, we'll get into that a little bit too, but it was just great to have that super team in action. I mean, it was so fun to watch. Like, you and I, we'll break down potential starting lineups through this one as well. But, I mean, like, we kept saying there's going to be somebody that doesn't get enough minutes that they should be getting because this team is just so good. And every single player on this team does everything so well. So it's really exciting to watch. And when they were clicking, when they were on, man, was that good basketball. I mean, that was phenomenal to watch with the ball movement and things like that. When they got stagnant, that's when they ran into some trouble. But it was great to finally, you know, we've been talking about this team for months now as the roster's kind of been coming out and things like that. So to finally see them play, it was really fun.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I've been anticipating this for a while, as of a lot of people, especially in our country. Just seeing LeBron and Curry on the same team. Obviously, we didn't get to see Kevin Durant, which was a bit of a bummer, but I think they play Australia in a couple days, so that'll be fun to watch. Hopefully, Katie's playing for that. But as you said, Mounts, yeah, there's a lot of talent. Obviously, someone's not going to start who people think should start. I think yesterday was evident that they've only played like 4 days together. The talent's obviously there. They just have to build up the chemistry. Because, I mean, that's a lot of ball-dominant players, a lot of guys who just play the game a little bit differently. And also, like, just FIBA rules, the court's a little smaller. I saw Anthony Davis, he hit the ball off the rim for that. I don't know if you caught that, like the goaltending rule you're allowed to do in FIBA. So that was an interesting thing that we'll be on the look for. But, I mean, also Embiid fouled out in, like, the third quarter. So he played, like 11 minutes or something? Because it's 5 fouls, not 6, so that's something to watch out. But it was fun to watch. I know we'll get into Tatum and guys like that, guys who we thought played well, guys who we thought didn't play well. But I'm excited to see what it looked like when KD's out there. And I think that there's no reason they shouldn't win the gold. And I think defensively they did a great job. I mean, combined, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jamal Murray were 5 for 18 from the floor. It didn't really feel like Shai was even out there half the time because Drew Holiday was guarding him well. But yeah, they played well. And I mean, they didn't even play well in the first half, but the talent's obviously there. And once they get things clicking, I mean, it's going to be fun to watch. And you saw clips of it yesterday, them in fast break, the Steph-LeBron connection. Yeah. It's going to be scary to watch there.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of going back to like the whole Joel Embiid, all those things. Like that's what makes USA basketball so fun is that now, like, it's almost like I'm through a moral crisis and I don't know where to go. I hate Joel Embiid, but I love Team USA. So now I'm finding myself rooting for Joel Embiid, who in my mind is the biggest bum in the NBA. But now I got to root for him and watch him throw cheap elbows on my team that I'm rooting for and then say I can't play physical. I'm just trying to play physical. Well, you're not going to be able to do that. I mean, FIBA, they will let these guys play under the basket, but there are a lot of things that you can get away with in the NBA that you are not going to be able to get away with in the FIBA basketball rules. And that was one of them. Like you can play physical, you can contest shots. It's the away from ball things, it's the hand checks, it's all of those things that are written into the rules but aren't called in the NBA that you're now seeing called in the FIBA level. And that's why a lot of people can sometimes struggle with that. They can pick up fouls. Joel Embiid obviously only 12 minutes played. He fouled out in the third quarter. Not the best showing from him. And I can take us right into our first point there of like the starting lineup. I mean, you were texting me about it saying, you know, you think Anthony Davis brings more to the table than Joel Embiid does with this team. Now, obviously, on a one-on-one, like in the NBA level, Joel Embiid's talent and all of that is phenomenal. Yeah. And nobody's going to say that Anthony Davis is a better player, but when you've got a team of loaded guys like this, kind of to your point, like maybe it is better to start Anthony Davis, who can give you a little bit more.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, his rim protection, there's no doubt about that at all. He's a pretty solid perimeter defender as well for his size. I mean, he's obviously a little bit slower than some of the guards, but He was very active on the glass as well. Obviously, we didn't get to see as much of Embiid as we were hoping, obviously because he fouled out in 12 minutes. But I mean, Anthony Davis looked really good on the glass. Of course, I think defensively he's just a little bit better than Embiid, and I think with the starting lineup, we'll get into who we think should start in a little bit. But let's be real here: Steph, KD, LeBron, locks to start. They don't need too much. I think they have to focus more on defensively when it comes to the rim protecting, especially when they play teams like France, when you have Wembanyama and Rudy Gobert. I think that AD and bringing Embiid off the bench, I mean, you can't really go wrong there, whether you bring Embiid or AD off the bench. But also, if Embiid's not going to be disciplined defensively, it's going to be hard to start him if he's not really going to get into a groove, because the 5 fouls is legit, and they call the game a little bit differently. But I think for what this team needs in that starting lineup, I think Anthony Davis provides it a little bit more. One-on-one wise, right now in their careers, Embiid's probably the better talent. But I also think with LeBron and AD having that connection or chemistry in the starting lineup would be fun to watch, and I think that Embiid could be a big piece off the bench if that's what Steve Kerr decides to do. But I'm sure with the next exhibition games, we'll see a mixture of lineups and see what they're going to Steve Kerr's got in mind.
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of talking about it. We believe LeBron, Curry, KD, all locks to start. So that leaves 2 other spots right there. You need a center. You think AD or Embiid's going to be one of the 2. I don't see them anyway, unless they are really struggling to win games, then they mix something up. But I don't see them sending Embiid to the bench. I think that's kind of like almost like a respect thing of like, all right, you're one of the best players in the world. We're going to start you. But, I think I texted you this last night. Anthony Davis is going to play more than Joel Embiid. Whether he starts or not, Anthony Davis is going to get more minutes. He might be lead the team in minutes when it's all said and done. Him and Bam, and I know Bam led the team in minutes last night with 21. I think those 2 could lead the team in minutes. I mean, they're young, they still have that energy, and they can do things on both sides of the floor, facilitate the offense. They're not going to get stagnant at times. They'll pass the ball, they'll rebound the ball, and they're the 2 best defenders on the team. All-around defenders. I mean, I don't want to discredit Drew Holiday. I mean, he's the best on-ball defender. I mean, we watched that last night, the way that he guarded Shea, and Jamal Murray was phenomenal. But, all around, Bam and AD can guard the ball. They can guard down low. They can do a little bit of everything. Those are your 2 most valuable pieces on defense right there. And they get you a little bit on offense as well. I think those 2, you're going to see them playing a lot. I didn't mind Anthony Edwards coming off the bench. The only issue with that, to me, is if he can mentally accept that. We've seen him say, I'm going to be the number 1 option. They have to build everything around me. That kind of was a little bit of a red flag to me. If he can kind of accept that off the bench role, having a player like that can score and do that, I love coming off the bench. I think Devin Booker's going to get sent down when KD comes back up. And if you run that starting 5 of Drew Holiday, Steph Curry, LeBron, KD, Joel Embiid, with your first ones off the bench, Anthony Davis and Anthony Edwards, I don't think you can go wrong at all. And I know you've mentioned as well, Tyrese Halliburton receives a lot of slack in the media, but you think that he might be just as important for this team as well.
Yeah, and I think personally that Tyrese Halliburton, his role. Actually, I'm going to get into that in a second, but I want to talk about Anthony Edwards, about your point. It was definitely interesting to hear those comments he makes, but I agree. I think Anthony Edwards should come off the bench. Obviously, based on yesterday, he was probably the best or second best player all around, at least offensively. But if he can do that, he was like, if you're watching the game, the USA was struggling to score, and then once Anthony Edwards went in, he kind of changed the energy out there, and that's when USA really started to click offensively in the first quarter, because they only had 1 point in the first 5 minutes. Another thing was I think they have to get Curry a look early. I think in the first minute you got to get Curry a look. He took 1 shot in the first 5 minutes. I think he was 1 for 3 at halftime, 4 for 7 on the game. Again, there's so many different guys who can score the basketball, but you have to get Steph Curry open early. I'm going to see It's going to be interesting to see how he how many looks he'll get when KD's in the mix. But honestly, with this team, no one's shooting 20 shots a game. But I think within the first minute or two, you got to get Steph Curry a good look. There's so many talents out there. Steph Curry can definitely get an open look with guys like Tyrese Halliburton and LeBron with their passing skills and whatnot. But yeah, to bring me into my next point, Mounts, I personally think that if it was up to me, based on what I saw yesterday and based on what I think this team needs, I would start Tyrese Halliburton. I would start and I would start Steph Curry, KD, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. I'll say why. Obviously, Drew Holiday. His defense is definitely one. He's arguably the best perimeter defender on this team, if not in the league. But I think that Tyrese Haliburton, like, he can go out there and just not shoot if he's just facilitating the ball, like in the fast break with LeBron and KD running the floor. Like, he can get them open looks, and then Curry could just focus on playing off ball. But even yesterday, like, Tyrese Haliburton was running the two at times as well. So I think Steve Kerr is just seeing where players mesh well. But I would run Haliburton, his playmaking. Like, he can go out there and just not shoot. He will go out there and move the ball and get it where it needs to go. Because he was really fun to watch in the fast break yesterday, and he hit Anthony Davis for a couple easy buckets. But I think for what this team needs, they don't need another guy who can start who's just going to look to shoot. If Tyrese Haliburton, you tell him, look, man, your role is to feed the four other stars on the floor. If you're open, obviously shoot it, but you are not used out there for scoring. You're used there for playmaking. I think Tyrese Haliburton is going to have a huge role on this team we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it transition-wise, too. Like, he had 4 steals. Not only can he run in transition, who's creating transition opportunities. I mean, 4 steals. He led the team in steals. He's playing defense as well. I mean, he looked great. I mean, the team got off to the slow start, and I texted you about that. I think a lot of that has to do with the motivation. That's always been Team USA's biggest issue, is their motivation. I mean, they know that they are the best team in the country. All these other teams, they want to knock them off. They want to prove and make name for themselves. They're used to playing in some of these FIBA rules. They're a lot more competitive. They're competing in the NBA on a daily basis to make a name for themselves. So they are going through some of these, tough defensive things and busting their butt more commonly in the NBA than some of these stars are. So now it transitions to this world level where you have to do those kind of things to compete. But I will say one thing. LeBron James put in a lot of effort last night. He really stood out in my mind. He looked like he was on a mission, defensively, running the floor, passing the ball. It was not the LeBron that you see on the Lakers. And I know it's different because it's an 82-game season and he's 39 years old. But to watch the effort that he put in last night was great to see, because if they can get that LeBron, nobody's going to beat this team. Nobody's going to beat this team. I mean, that alone is going to be a key factor if they can get a focused, determined LeBron James, and it looks like that's what they might be getting in this tournament. But let's break down a little bit of Kawhi Leonard. I know I got some of your thoughts on that. So news breaks out yesterday. Kawhi Leonard believes it's in his best interest. The Clippers were also agreeing with that as well, that he's not going to take this summer to play in the Olympics. He's going to instead kind of rest, rebuild that strength and his health. He has had numerous seasons in the past, couple of seasons that he hasn't been able to play in the postseason, hasn't missed a lot of games in the regular season. This past year included was one of those cases. So he's going to rest this summer and prepare for the NBA season coming up. So he will withdraw his name from Team USA, and replaced is a Boston Celtic, not the Celtic that a lot of people thought it might be, and Jaylen Brown. Instead, it is Derek White, the shooting guard, who I believe might be another key piece off the bench for this Team USA. But Brian, I mean, just what does this Kawhi Leonard trade really do? Or not trade, I mean, it's kind of like a trade, but Kawhi Leonard backing out of Team USA, Derek White comes in. What does that do for this team?
Well, first of all, it's not surprising. If anything, it would be more surprising if he did end up playing. If he did end up, lasting the whole summer. No disrespect, he just, he hasn't been healthy. If you look at his, the last couple of seasons he's played, he played 68 games this past season again, so he missed about 14 games. That's the most games he's played in the season since he was back with the Spurs in 2017. Like, he just hasn't been healthy, has not been available. But in terms of what Derek White brings to the table, like, that's another glue guy. I think that obviously people thought talent-wise, Jaylen Brown's the better player, no doubt at all. But what this team needs, I don't think they need another guy who can score 20. They need a guy who can go out there, get offensive rebounds, defend, and those are all things Jaylen Brown can do. Personally, I think I probably would have taken Jaylen Brown, but I see why they did take Derek White, because that's probably the type of guy they're missing. It's just Jaylen Brown, I think, deserved to be on it, quite frankly, after his play in the finals. And he's a very, what's the word I'm looking for? He's very, mature to the media and whatnot, and I think it would have meant a lot to him if they let him play. Obviously, he was talking about Team USA a couple months ago. But again, Derek White, I'm not going to hate on it either. That's the type of guy they probably need, the type of player, because he can go out there. He knows his role on this team. He knew his role with the Celtics. He can give you 20 if he has to, but with this team, his role is going to be out there to facilitate the basketball, get it where it needs to go, defend. And I think he's a really good rebounding guard for his position. I think that's what he's going to have to do. I think Devin Booker showed flashes of that yesterday, crashing the boards. And then one thing I want to talk about LeBron really quick was I agree with what you were saying. I mean, I thought he was a little too unselfish yesterday. Like, there was times where he had an open three, passed it up. even times in the fast break, he chucked it cross court to Steph Curry, threw it out of bounds. Like I like him. He wants to be that facilitator. You can tell he just does not care about scoring the basketball at all. He wants to get the team involved. He wants to do what it takes to win, no doubt. But I think he was a little too unselfish. And again, 39-year-old LeBron is different than 2012, 2013 Game 6 LeBron or whatever year that was. But I think that he can be the alpha on this team. LeBron. I mean, they voted him the best player in camp. That's for a reason. But LeBron and Tyrese Halliburton both they can dominate a game without shooting the basketball. But going back to the Kawhi Leonard thing, I could not see that working out. It obviously didn't. Stephen A. Smith literally called it the other day. I was surprised Kawhi got the invite in the first place just because of his injury history. I don't know if they expected him to play because he just missed the playoffs with the Clippers a couple months ago. And honestly, if you're the Clippers organization, I understand because you put in a lot of money, picks, trades, and whatnot into bringing in Kawhi Leonard and obviously Paul George before he left, and it just did not work out. And obviously if he's playing now in the summer, what is his availability come October, November? You just never know with Kawhi Leonard, a guy who has not played over 70 games since 2016, 2017. So I understand why they agreed to go in different directions because it's just something he can't rely on him, honestly. When he's out there, he's one of the best players in the league, but availability is the best ability, and that's just not the case with Kawhi, and that's not the case with him the last couple seasons, especially with the Clippers. So what are your thoughts on that, Mouse?
I mean, yeah, I do think Derek White was probably the better pick for the team. I don't think anybody expected Kawhi Leonard to really play in the Olympics when he was selected. I was surprised he even practiced the first couple of days. When that selection was made, I thought it was kind of an honorary thing of hey, you're one of the best players in the world. We want you, but we know you're not going to be able to play. We're going to replace you at some point. I do think Derek White was the correct pick simply because, you have so many interior defensive guys, or at least the ones that you need, Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, and Bam Adebayo, that are going to be able to do a little bit of everything for you. Jrue Holiday is really your main perimeter defender. LeBron James can hold his own on the perimeter. Anthony Edwards, not a terrible defender. Tyrese Halliburton, we saw him with 4 steals, but that on-ball defense can struggle at times. Tatum might be guarding a little bit more size at times on the floor. We'll get into him a little bit later, but I think Derek White is one of the best on-ball defenders in the NBA. We watched him this past season. He might be the best shot blocking guard in the NBA currently right now. He plays really good defense, and that's the kind of guy that you can come in, and that's what you need. And the other thing that I love about Derek White is that spark ability. You saw him in the Boston Celtics on the NBA championship run that they made. At times, Derek White would take over games, and you need that on a guy off the bench because we've seen in Olympics in the past and FIBA tournaments in the past, Team USA goes cold from beyond the arc, and they can't really get anything going. And Derek White's a guy that you can bring in. He blocks a shot, gets an open 3, hits that. Next time down, gets another 3 and hits that. And now all of a sudden you got some momentum going. Now he's got a steal. He's diving on the floor, and teams are, that builds that momentum, that builds that energy, and that can be something that Derek White can be. And I love that for Team USA. As a Miami Heat fan, as painful as it is to have another Boston Celtic on the team that I have to now root for. He's a great player, and he's one of the most underrated players in the league. I think he's going to fit right in. I don't think you needed another ball-dominant guy like Jaylen Brown. I don't think you needed another ego. And I'm not trying to bash Jaylen Brown or do anything of that. Yeah. I just think Derek White is the complete opposite of that. On the contrary, we have Jayson Tatum. So I will now a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you cook, Mounts. Mounts were talking about it yesterday. Had me cracking up.
Unbelievably bad last night. You can look at his box score, and it's okay, he didn't play the worst game. He shot 4 of 7, had 1 rebound, he had 2 assists, a steal, a block. He did a little bit of everything. He was that piece for Team USA. This game wouldn't have been close if Jayson Tatum did not touch the floor. He was painful to watch out there when the team's moving the ball, whipping it around. You're seeing all these stars doing all these great things, and it's this is basketball. And then Tatum gets there, and it's triple threat. Jab step, triple threat, swipe through, triple threat, jab step. Now there's 3 seconds on the clock. Let's kick it out to Bam and force him to shoot a 3. I love Bam, but he shouldn't be shooting threes because we had a player just hold the ball for 8 seconds in the shot clock and then kick it out to him. This team moves the ball phenomenally, but you have then Jayson Tatum who tries to swipe through and is foul baiting while up 12 against Canada in an exhibition USA basketball game. What are we doing? His defense is great. His athleticism is great. He's one of the best players in the world. You use him as a slasher, use him as a 3-point shooter, do something. But when he goes ISO, it's like he's trying to prove to anybody. You have nothing to prove, Jayson Tatum. You're one of the best players in the world. We all know it. You don't have to prove it. Just go win. Go play winning basketball. It's frustrating to watch when you have a team that is moving the ball and it's so exciting. It's like, yes, this is what we've been waiting for. And then Jayson Tatum comes in and it's like nails on a chalkboard. I hate it. I hope he fixes it, but this could be an issue for Team USA, is that kind of style, because I could see it becoming an issue then with other players. When somebody starts to do that, other players get upset that they're not touching the ball, a.k.a. Anthony Edwards, someone of that sort. Joel Embiid, that now they want to go ISO. They want their time. Well, Jayson Tatum just held it this last possession. I didn't even get to touch the ball. Now I'm going to hold it and try to do my thing. And that becomes Team USA's issue. That's what other teams want. That is my fear, is that Jayson Tatum is trying to play NBA basketball in the FIBA level.
Yeah.
And that can hold the rest of the team back. I think it could be a plague. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, that was funny. But, I mean, you're not wrong. I think that, I laugh with my friends about this, my friends at home here. We say, like, when Jayson Tatum remembers he's 6'8", he's top 3 in the world.
Yeah,
but he
yes.
Like, because my thing is, like, when Jayson Tatum, he had spurts yesterday where he did look really good. When he just goes to the rim at will, like the dancing on the perimeter, I see why that frustrates you. Because, like, with Boston, sure, you can do where you're the best player on the team or second best player on the team.
Yeah.
But with this team, we both saw how fun this team is to watch, and how unstoppable they are when they just move the ball. And they could take like 5 dribbles in the possession and score because they're so talented. And then Tatum is just like dancing on the perimeter, jab step, fake. But I think with this team, like, he can be. This is a great opportunity for him to really just work on other aspects of his game, because he does. If anyone's going ISO on this team, it's not Jayson Tatum. It's probably Kevin Durant, LeBron, maybe even Steph Curry. But, like, if there's anyone going, it's probably even Ant over Jayson Tatum, because Ant gets to his spots quickly. Like, Tatum will dance with the basketball for 14 seconds, and as you said, throw it to Bam Adebayo, who, it hurts his stats, man, and stats are important. But anyways, it's the dancing on the perimeter, man. If he remembers he's 6'8" and just goes to the rim like he did, every basket he scored was pretty tough. But it's like for every time he would go to the rim and do something great, this dude is throwing the ball out of bounds, or he's dancing on the perimeter and then just throws up a bad shot, or just a pass that puts his teammate in a position to fail. And it's like there's so many guys on this team who are taking a sacrifice. Steph Curry, I mean, as I said, he took like 3 shots in the first half. Like Jayson Tatum, if Jayson Tatum has that mindset of like, hey, I'm the guy on this team, you're wrong. You're not. You're coming off the bench for a reason. No disrespect. Tatum's a great talent, obviously top 5, top 10 in the world, but he has to know his role on this team. It's not to go out there and drop 20 and have the ball in your hand the entire possession. It's not. And if that's going to be the case, then he's going to become unplayable, because you have guys like LeBron. I mean, when Kevin Durant gets in the mix, guys who are willing to sacrifice for the better of the team. And I think Tatum will do that. It's just last night there were spurts where it's a little questionable, and I agree. I don't know if I wouldn't be worried just yet. If we see this in the next couple exhibition games, then I'd be worried. It was the first time they're playing together, but there was like, you just go to the rim, Jayson Tatum, shoot a 3 if you're open, but don't do the dancing on the perimeter, because they don't need that. Because there was even in the beginning of the game, it got really stagnant out there. People were just standing on the perimeter, not really moving at all, just watching like Embiid post up in the paint. That's not going to win. But once they started moving the ball, and the bench guys came in with Halliburton and Anthony Edwards, that's what things clicked. And Tatum can be a huge part of this team, but he can also hurt this team. And I think he's going to have a big role in this team if he just accepts the fact that his role is not to go out there and shoot 15 shots. He's going to defend, go to the rim, and shoot threes when he's open.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Anthony Edwards, kind of your point, take a lot of those ISOs, but he does get to his spot. I compared him to Dwayne Wade last night, and just his athleticism, that mid-range, like his body control and how he can stop on a dime or while he's in air. It's so similar to a young Dwayne Wade that it's very fun to watch, but he gets to those spots a lot quicker than Jayson Tatum does. And when it's not there, he will pull it back out and he will swing it. Like his is a lot more fun to watch than Jayson Tatum's, where he is holding it in that triple threat for 5-6 seconds, thinking about what he's going to do, and then you get low in the shot clock and everything's rushed. The other player that I see going one-on-one a lot that I'm kind of more okay with than a Jayson Tatum type is Kevin Durant. Is there a bad shot that Kevin Durant can even take? I mean, he's 7 foot tall, maybe one of the best top 5 scorers, talent-wise, that the NBA has ever seen, the world has ever seen. You're going to see that a little bit. You're going to see Kevin Durant kind of do his shake, bake, get to the elbow there and hit that little jumper that nobody can test because the ball is just so high up in the air. You're going to see that a lot, and I think that's what you go to, is that type of ISO play. things haven't been working. Things are slow. We need a bucket. Here, Kevin Durant, go get the bucket. Like,
Yeah.
that's what you're going to do rather than, hey, Jayson Tatum, like, take up all the shot clock and, ruin everything. And honestly, like, it's not even the times where, they are struggling to get a bucket, because every once in a while, yeah, like, the team does need a guy to just, like, create. Like, we can't score right now, just create and go get a bucket. And if Jayson Tatum's going to be that guy, I'm fine with that. The issue with last night was Jayson Tatum did it while the team was in a rhythm. The team's in a rhythm. They're going on a run. They're moving the ball. They're excited. The fans are into it. Everything's going. And then he just dribbles the ball out of the air. Like, or like the air out of the ball, excuse me. It's awful to watch. Like, it just wasn't fun. And then, like, I know he shot 4 of 7. He was efficient. But it just, like, it slowed everything down. And I feel like the momentum, like, it just deflates the team. It deflates the energy and all of that. And I think they could be a lot better if he does that in small doses when it's needed. Like, you don't always need to go ISO when things are going well just because you want a bucket or you're feeling yourself. Like that was the tough part to watch. But that being said, they might be in a case where they don't really need to be playing their best basketball anyway. Like, a lot of these teams in there, I know they got Serbia with Jokic. That'll be tough. I think they have enough interior defense to really focus on him. I don't see Serbia being an issue. But I mean, I forget the other 2 teams that are in their pool. Not great. They should.
I'm trying to find their pool, but
it's like South.
Yeah, I don't think
or something.
Yeah, I'm looking at the teams they're scrimmaging. But yeah, I mean, I was really hoping they would match up with France, just to see how they would play in that situation, because I'm interested to see how Gobert and how that tandem works there. That could be a good test for them. They play Australia. Patty Mills is one of the better FIBA players in the world. So I think that's gonna be interesting to see. I'm trying to see who their group stage is.
I know Serbia's one, and then there's 2 lesser teams than Serbia that aren't projected to make it out. The one bracket that's going to be tough, or the one group, I forget what group letter it is, but it is Canada's. I think Canada is in there with Spain, Australia, Canada, and it might even be France. Like, that group is going to be really tough. Those are all 4 teams that in the past have been really competitive, and only 2 of them are going to be able to get out of the play. Might even be 1 with basketball. I know soccer, it's typically 2. But it might only be 1 in the Olympics for basketball. I mean, that's going to knock some teams out. Like, for Team USA, I think they've got an easy route to get far in the tournament.
Oh,
Obviously,
yeah.
They're talented enough, but I mean, their group isn't that difficult. A lot of good teams are going to get knocked out before they even play the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they have the easy route. As a fan, I enjoy that, but as a fan of basketball, it's not ideal, because I was looking forward to some of those key matchups. But I mean, we'll get a couple more. I'm sure at some point Canada and the United States will play, whether it's for the gold match, whether it's to go to the gold medal match, something of that sort. Maybe France gets there as well. I'm not sure. But there's a lot of these good teams that we're not going to get to see them play because they're not in the group, and they're probably going to get knocked out before the United States can even get their hands on them.
Yeah, looking at the group stages or group phases. So Canada matches up with Greece, so they have Giannis, Australia, and Spain. Spain's always good. I'm not 100% sure who's on that roster this year. I can look that up. But
Gasol's always made that one good back in the day.
Yeah. Then they had like Ricky Rubio. Oh, Rudy Fernandez is one of the guys who always gives teams trouble. Other names that are on the list that I would know. Oh, Santi Aldama. He's on the Memphis Grizzlies and whatnot. But yeah, so that'll be interesting. I mean, Canada should come out of that. Canada just didn't play great yesterday. They're going to go as far as Shea and Jamal Murray take them. RJ Barrett had a couple RJ Barrett moments that I see when he played on the Knicks, just driving to the rim, throwing the ball up, getting blocked, turning it over. But I know that's your Duke guy, Mounts. But I think that the USA. I mean, they're with Puerto Rico, South Sudan, excuse me, and I believe they're with Serbia as well. Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm excited for if you're looking at their exhibition matches ahead. They play Australia on the 15th, then they have Serbia on the 17th, South Sudan on the 20th, and Germany on the 22nd. Still no France matchup in sight. I'm sure they'll see France and Canada again along the way. But yeah, last night was fun to watch, Mounts. I enjoyed watching those talents play together. It's the last time we're going to see these guys on the court together, with Steph, LeBron, KD, all those guys. There's not going to be many more times where we're going to see a team this talented on the basketball court. But I think they said yesterday Ant's going to be that guy moving forward. Next Olympics, Ant could probably be the driving force on that team, along with D-Book, Tatum, and Tyrese Halliburton. So, is there anything else you had in mind about the Olympics, Mounts?
No, man, I'm excited to get it going. Like, the countdown is on. We still have a couple more weeks before the Olympics even start. And this is probably the most exciting game that we're going to get out of Team USA for a while. It's just exciting to watch the talent, though. I mean, when they move the ball and they're on, like, this is the best team maybe assembled ever. Like, it is both all-star teams
dream team
together. It might be, man. And I forget, I saw this somewhere on social media. Someone made this point, like, when you go back and you read some of, like, the bench guys on the dream team, their top guys were incredible, or even the redeem team and all of that. Like, this team doesn't have. I mean, the worst player on their team is like Bam Adebayo and Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, and like honestly, it's probably Derek White now.
Yeah, but I mean,
I know.
Like, you had so many Hall of Famers, many Hall of Famers that are on this team right now. Like, from 1 through 12. I mean, you might have 11 Hall of Famers on this team when it's all said and done at some point. Like, it is stacked.
Yeah,
it is
I would say
one of the best teams. There's no weakness on this one.
No, there's not. Yeah, I mean, the only weakness is Jayson Tatum. He's not 6'8". When he's 6'8", he's But yeah, I'm excited, man. It's gonna be fun. You still got summer league. I believe there's some summer league games going on tonight. Not much else going on in the basketball world. Free agency seemed like it really dialed down a little bit. I know we talked about that last episode. There haven't been any really major moves. There's not really many. I mean, am I missing? Are there any free agents, like major free agents, who haven't really signed anywhere yet, Mounts?
No, I think like the biggest one might be Kyle Lowry right now.
Yeah, I know the Suns are interested in him.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's really going on in free agency. As soon as news breaks, I mean, we'll have it up and ready to go. Reactions and things like that to the IG right now. We're working on getting a TikTok up. And YouTube is still there as well, and Spotify for the podcast and to get your full length episodes. But yeah, I mean, as soon as things comes out, I mean, we're kind of in a waiting game now for the off season. Something's gonna break, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, man. But as you said, we're out on Spotify. We should have a YouTube up soon. On Instagram, we're at the Pick and Roll Podcast, I believe. But yeah, feel free to follow us on Instagram, message us, answer our polls on Spotify. We'll be back probably early next week, another episode in, maybe another 2 episodes next week. We'll talk, summer league. We'll talk, predictions for next season and whatnot. I'll probably quiz Mounts again. Get his brain working a little bit, make him smile a little bit more.
I got to perform better than I did last time. That was just, I embarrassed my family. I let everybody down.
No, you didn't. Yeah, man, you did good, man. You did good. I'm proud of you. But the only way's up, man. The only way's up.
The only way's up.
Yeah, man. But it was a pleasure, Tanner. Thanks for joining me on this lovely Thursday morning. This episode should be out this afternoon. But thank you. This is the Pick and Roll Podcast. We'll see you next week.
Peace.